Right, are you all right if we just crack on now and get going?
Yeah, absolutely, 100%.
I just like to keep it fairly organic, as we go in. So it'll just be us having a conversation now. We started, basically. So,
Perfect.
Folks, here's Brad. Brad, folks.
Howdy. That's awesome.
Right. Brad, I have to be brutally honest with you. I had not heard of you until about 2 or 3 weeks ago when you sent me a DM asking if I'd do this live stream. And I love doing all this sort of stuff. You'll probably gather that I like to chat. I like to blether, as we call it in Scotland.
Sure.
And I had a look at your channel. I'm like, my God, it's huge. You've almost hit 100,000 subs now, haven't you? Over on
I'm
YouTube.
about 17 subs away now.
Oh, folks, come on. Head to Brad the Nomad. Head there and make sure you subscribe. I'll leave all the links down below. Let's get him up to 100,000.
That's awesome. Thank you so much.
That is an amazing figure to almost hit. I'm a good 3 years away from that myself, easy. But it's like that golden chalice, isn't it? It's your video's gone.
Oh, did it go?
Yeah. What's happened there?
What the? Uh-oh. I don't know.
Stand by, folks. Technical issues.
Sorry about that.
Well, mate, don't worry about it. No worries. We're not live, so. Oh, there you go.
How's that?
Hi. Yeah, you're there.
It just cut out for some reason. I don't know why.
Were you using a GoPro?
Yeah.
Yeah, I use a GoPro, and I've had that a few times myself. I don't know why it does it. It's Zoom doesn't seem to like it.
Oh, now it's using my laptop mic because here's the GoPro. So I'll just toss that one away, and we're good.
That's awesome. Where were we? 100,000 subs. I mean, that is a massive marker. How long have you been doing YouTube?
2 months.
What?
Yeah, about 2 months. Yeah, dedicatedly about 2 months. I started in, I think, October last year, and then I was on a Honda Shadow, and I was kind of puttering around on that and creating content, not real, not anything with any like vibe or kind of pattern. I was just driving around, and that bike went down for a while, and then I got this Royal Enfield, and I was like, I wanted to give it a shot, I wanted to try and see if I could create something. And I knew, like, watching your content or watching, any kind of moto vloggers content, how arduous it is to edit that kind of stuff, because it's so long and it's so, so many layers to it. I was like, I don't want to do that. So I thought, shorts or Instagram reels or TikToks or whatever. And so I started looking into, like, there's been a few people that have followed on YouTube since YouTube started, and they are still doing it. They're still cracking on with it. And so I watched there, and I, kind of gather inspiration from them. So I saw how they were creating a pattern with their reels or TikToks or YouTube shorts or whatever. And that's what I did. And it's literally roughly around the same thing, not the same type of content, but adding the words that pop up on the screen, adding, a good song or something like that. And I started uploading like that, and again, it wasn't anything drastically edited. There was no cool time lapses. There was no, color grading and all this, nothing like that. It was literally just slapping it together and adding the words, and then having YouTube add a song or something like that. And I uploaded one, and I went up. My girlfriend works at a cafe, and I went over to the cafe, and I was sitting down and having a drink, and my phone started vibrating, and it was the morning, and I had just woken up and just charged it, and I was like, what, and so I was having a chat with her, so I didn't want to open it, so I just turned it off, or I put it to the side and muted it, and then I picked up my phone, and it was dead, and it was because that video had gone viral, and those were all notifications.
Wow.
And I didn't know, I'd never experienced that. And I was concerned. I was like, do I need to delete this? What did I say in this video? I didn't, something's wrong. And then I did it again and again and again. And each one of them would get like over 150,000 views easily. And I have no idea why. But then my Royal Enfield went down. My back tire went out, and then my front tire, I fixed that, and then my front tire went out. So I was down for like a month, and then I, got everything fixed and sorted out, and it has been going good since. But yeah, it's only solidly uploading for about 2 months. And yeah, it's just been it's kind of weird.
Oh my God, that's incredible. That is incredible. Because
it's weird.
I noticed, obviously, you DM me on Instagram. So the Instagram content was the first thing I saw. And I could see you were doing loads of the reels. And obviously reels, because of TikTok, reels are where it's at now, particularly on Instagram and shorts over on YouTube and Facebook. It's that short format content, isn't it? That seems to be
1 minute. Like in the 1 minute ones don't do very well. They watch maybe 75% of it, but then if I do it at 48 seconds, for some reason, it's always like 90% watched or something like that. So it's odd. I've tried to pinpoint it, but I still have no idea what's going on.
I've noticed that because I've done a couple of shorter ones, and the shorter ones, like, as you just said there, between sort of 30 odd seconds and 40, 45 seconds, 48, as you just said, they seem to get way more views than the minute long ones. And I'm still in this long form content frame of mind. And I'm like, how the hell do I condense this down to, like, not even a minute, but less than a minute? You're like, how'd you do that? It's not possible, but it is possible, isn't it? And you just have to be brutal with it. How do you go about with the editing process? Coming from I say coming from as if I've done this for years and years and years and got all this experience, but which is not the case. I could be 100% wrong about this, but like understanding what I've been doing as far as editing goes, for me, it's been, I don't want any quiet points in the video. I don't want no silences. I want chatting going on the whole time. Because I feel like quiet points are boring for that, because when you're scrolling on Reels, TikTok, YouTube Shorts, your attention span is navigated to swipe, swipe, swipe. You're not going to stick. So, making sure the beginning is kind of unique, or funny or something like that. And, so like the other day, I saw, and me and my girlfriend were talking about this. I saw an onion on the ground, and I was like, "Watch! I will make that onion the beginning of my video." I saw that,
and on YouTube, it sure enough got over 100K views, and I was like, "This is so dumb. I have no idea what's going on," but it's stupid. But I'm very thankful, and I've got to meet a lot of cool people from it. But yeah, I don't know. And so with the editing, like, it's just, I do it through Premiere Pro. And I mean, it's not like I have a big fancy setup. I have the GoPro, and then I have a purple mic that goes into my helmet, and that's it. And the purple mic, I think, is like $20 on Amazon, and it gets really good sound on just for being that cheap. So I just cutting down, anywhere from 15 minutes to make that like just a 1 minute video it's not too challenging, because there's only certain times I talk, and I know there's certain things I need to put in the video. So those things are already done, picking up the food, dropping it off, those things. But there are certain times I'm like, oh, I have no idea what I'm supposed to, especially on a bad day, like if I'm having a bad mood or something like that, and I have no idea what I'm supposed to say. It's pushing it, but or interacting with the public. Interacting with the public was the biggest thing. And somebody actually messaged me, and they were from, I think, Switzerland, I want to say. I could be wrong about that. And they were like, it's just amazing to see your culture. And I'm like, what do you mean? Oh yeah, I guess it is different for, it's a weird thing where, but yeah, so interacting with the public is huge. Those videos always do very well. And I just try to make sure the edit is, and I don't stress about it. I just try to make sure that it's fun, it's quick, and it has plenty of chops to it. It's not too hard. But
Cha-cha, I believe you call it, isn't it?
Yeah, cha-cha, man. I have no idea why it's a thing now, but I didn't mean for that to become a catchphrase, but yeah, absolutely. People have latched onto it. It's been fun.
Folks, those of you listening or watching, honestly, head over to the channel right now. There'll be links down below. Head over to the channel, whether it's YouTube or Instagram, and just watch some of these vids. They're addictive. I mean, I don't know if it's because I'm like an old man. Well, old man, I'm 46. But this sort of new, like TikTok and everything like that, it's alien. It's alien to me. And I've spent 10 years on YouTube doing long form content where, you know, it was in the early days, it was like you aspired to get like not film quality, but you know what I mean? You really wanted good high production quality. Well, I did. But that just doesn't seem to matter at all anymore.
No.
Like even in long form content, and I'd go as far as to say long form content seems to be dwindling a lot at the moment on YouTube. Everybody I know with channels is really suffering with low subs and low views. And it seems to be since YouTube started pushing the shorts. And it's like, is long form going to carry on? Is it going to survive? And so I started doing these little shorts, and coming from my sort of background, I find it really tough to be brutal in the edit. And like I'll have 5 or 6 hours on a timeline, and I have to struggle to get that down to 15, 20 minutes. And you're like, now you've got to try and get it down to like, well, less than a minute now. It's nuts.
There was a YouTube channel that I used to watch, and it was like the theory, the like psychological aspects of YouTube and how videos work. And like, if you look at very famous vloggers, and that's what this channel would do, is look at famous vloggers or famous content creators, and they would go, psychologically, why does this work? And there was a few of them that I watched over the years, and one of them would always open up his video with a mission, and by the end of the video, he had that mission completed. So that was my theory with these shorts, was starting it off, letting you know that there's going to be a potential for delivery, and then by the end of it, more often than not, there's a delivery. And that seems to be like, because you get that weird I don't know the right word, but where you're living vicariously through me to go, oh, now I've done these, now I've gone on this adventure, now I've done this. I mean, the same reason why I watch your content is, you know, I've never had the chance so far to travel and see these great spectacle of places that you visited, and you know, so vicariously, I absolutely, and it also is like the coolest thing because you get to see other cultures through different eyes, and so you know, but yeah, I don't understand it at all. And like, I know that YouTube just started like to push it even more, especially here in the States, because in the States, the government just passed like a legislation to ban TikTok completely. Within the States. Yeah. So I'm not sure how that is going to work out, but I know that YouTube, as of, well, like last week, they've started monetizing shorts. And so you're actually going to be able to monetize them and make money from them, which is even, I mean, I think YouTube's just doubling down on short content. But like you said, you know, I come from watching, never participating, but watching content that was 20, 30 minutes. And, you know, somebody would upload, you know, once, twice a week. And, you know, it's almost like a television show. You would tune in and watch. And, you know, I to see the quality, and now people are just creating shorts with with an iPhone, and boom, you know, and it doesn't make sense. I don't understand it at all. I have no idea what's going on. I'm just happy to be here.
But what really impresses me is the creativity that all of these different platforms are bringing out in people. You know, like just normal people. It used to be like, you know, TV shows, films, things like that. Those creative minds behind it, they almost, to me, they seemed like a breed apart. You know, I'd look at some film content and TV content, and I'd just be in awe at it and think, that's incredible. You know, like when you start digging into like the editing behind it, and just the cinematography that's involved in it, and even things like color grading and everything like that. I just think that's amazing. I could never do that. And then yet now, God, there's 7, 8, 9, 10-year-old kids who are creating these incredible bits of content, as you said, on their phone, just with anything, you know, with anything as a backstory to it. It's crazy. It's interesting what you said there about TikTok, because I don't know if you follow Joe Rogan. I'm a big Joe Rogan
sometimes
listener. I listen to all. Obviously, he's moved to your great state of Texas now as well, isn't he? Up in Austin, along with most of California, I think.
That's right. Yeah,
but
there's a lot of them.
I get that impression. but I've heard through him and the guests that he's had on his podcasts about the security issues with TikTok, and I wasn't aware of any of that. I started a TikTok account just because everybody was on it, and it was like, I guess I better have a presence on TikTok, but I don't really use it anymore because I'm like, Jesus, what you've agreed to with TikTok, they basically got access to everything on your phone, haven't they?
Yeah,
Cameras,
absolutely.
everything, your biometrics.
You can check. Yeah, they can look into, and that's what you're agreeing to because it's like their service agreement. I think somebody did a comparison on the service agreement with TikTok and the service agreement with Instagram. Instagram, I think, was like 180 pages, and TikTok's was like 1,000 and something pages, and it was just ridiculous. And and so with me, it was, and like I have a decent following on TikTok, but I just don't enjoy it. Like, I don't enjoy it. I don't, like, I try to comment back. I make a purpose of commenting back on YouTube and Instagram. Like, I very much try to get to everybody, but TikTok is just a different monster entirely. And it might be just that age gap of, younger generation. That's their app that they go to, over YouTube and over, but yeah, the agreement that you're making for them to literally look at every single little detail of that phone and have access to it is kind of bizarre. And it is worrisome. If I had, a good amount of money or like some kind of bigger presence, I might be more concerned. But for me, that's the way I took it, was like, I'm not anybody special right now. So I mean, it's not too bad, but it is weird. And I try not to post on it as much, and the community isn't as nice on TikTok as it is YouTube or Instagram. Instagram and YouTube, I feel like, genuinely, especially as far as this goes, the beginning stage is just a lot of nice people. Everybody's so welcoming and warm, and you get a dickhead every now and then that's just having a bad day or what have you. But some of those comments that are mean, God, they're so funny. And but they're just so, like, there was this one, and he was like, I can't remember. It was like somewhere around I think he was like, he commented and he was like, all that work for $2. And I was like, and I was listening to a book at the time called The Zen Art of Motorcycle Maintenance. I don't know if you've ever read that one.
I've not read it. I've heard of it.
It's very, very good. And but I was in this almost like pretentious mindset where I was like, I wanted to say something and be fancy and be like, maybe I could make this guy, he's clearly having a bad day, I can make it a better day. So I was like, well, in the Zen Art of Motorcycle Maintenance, it says that you are, the destination is not as important as blah, 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 blah. So I comment this. And it's a very well thought out, to me, it was well thought out paragraph of a reply. And his comment was literally just in return was, I hope you die on your bike. And it just made me laugh so much. And like, it was because it was just so funny. It was so mean and so funny all at once. But yeah.
I've had my fair share of trolls. As you said, I think the vast majority of people who are involved in my channel on most platforms are very supportive, and they're a great bunch, and they really have sort of got around me. Because after I went full time, when I left my previous job and went full time, it really felt like my community sort of got around me and were like, right, we'll get you through this. So I owe them everything for that. But as you said, you get the odd dickhead, don't you? And I have bit back a few times before.
Oh, yeah.
And, sometimes you're like, yes, have that. Like you get up on them, don't you? And you're like, yeah, have that. And then other times, like you said, they just come back with stuff, and you're like, I've got nothing. I can't come back on that. Touche.
Yeah, well done. Yeah, yep, well done. I mean, yeah, it was great. Sometimes it is weird. Go ahead. No,
please go.
It is, what I was going to say is it is weird sometimes because, like, we get, I got a comment the other day, and it was about police, and it was this big, it was a huge comment, and it was about, they were anti-police, and they were anti-this, that, and the other, and it was a huge comment, and I was like, what did I show in this video? I couldn't remember. It was a video I posted like a week ago or something, and I was like, what the hell did I put in this video? And literally nothing to do with anything this person commented. I was like, what? And so that's what I commented back. I was like, I have no idea what you're talking about. And they again wrote this big article, and I was like, what is going on? And so it is interesting, but you know, the vast majority is just overwhelming positivity. Like, I posted my first YouTube video today, and some guy from Switzerland gave me a super thanks donation of like $10, and I was like, what?
Wow.
That's, you know, and it may, like, the video going out was exciting enough, but to have some, and it's, you know, it's not life-changing amount, but it is the fact that it was just given, and it was just, yeah, it's kind of nuts. And I'm incredibly grateful, and I'm glad I found myself this warm little corner of people, like, just like that, are so kind and friendly, because I don't know if I'd do it if I was if they were mean, like, all the time, you know what I mean? Like, it wouldn't be fun. I wouldn't participate in it.
I think I don't get, it's not criticism, but I'm very much, I like to think that I promote the positive side of people through my content and through the podcast and everything like that, because that's what I see now. Like, in my old job in the police, you very rarely saw the positive side of people, other than the people that you worked with and other emergency services. You very rarely saw the good in humanity. You were always dealing with the bad side of it, or the consequences of the bad side of it. And that very much started to have a negative impact on me as a person. And I could feel that I was becoming very desensitized to a lot of things, and I was becoming very withdrawn from anyone who wasn't in my world. You know, like my work colleagues and, you know, my immediate friends, even my family to an extent. You know, I would just socialize with the people I felt sort of secure with, and like my work colleagues became my family. And you see that, you see that in the military, you see that in all emergency services. So stepping out of that world and going traveling, really, it was very hard initially to step out of my normal world and start relying on total strangers, because I didn't trust anybody.
Yeah, I was going to ask. Yeah.
Yeah, but you quickly realize almost everybody, anywhere in the world, and I say this all the time on this podcast, so I'm sorry if I'm boring some of the listeners.
No.
But we're all the same. You know, no matter what language you speak, we discussed this on your live stream, didn't we? No matter what language you speak, no matter what faith you follow, no matter what country you call home, everybody, almost to a T, is the same. Everyone is just out to look after their family. They want a nice, quiet life, getting on with their thing. And if a stranger needs help, or anyone needs help, most people will offer that help, however, whatever form that takes, whether it's a simple I'll just stand here with you, or it's an offer of some food or some shelter, or actual physical help with whatever issue you have. And it really did me the power of good for that. And I hope that now, through my own content, I'm promoting that and pushing that out to other people who maybe were a bit like me before. And it's nice to see that you're experiencing that as well. You know, it's not just me and my pink and fluffy head that I'm thinking of now these days. You actually experience it as well.
Yeah, it's kind of like, first I want to say you do absolutely promote that, and you watching, like, it wasn't until my girl's father told me about this Scotsman that traveled the world, and I was like, well, send me his YouTube. And so we sat down and watched probably 4 or 5 of your videos, and it's, you just feel good. It's like you promote good feelings, and there's no stress about them. And even during kind of, even I know that first trip and those first videos, you know, in the videos you seem very kind of relaxed and enjoying and having fun, and it's this amazing thing. And then I'm reading through your book now, and I'm like, and then you see, oh yeah, well, behind the scenes, shit was rough sometimes, and you know, it was a hard thing to get, you know, especially it being such a major trip. And so kudos to you, man, because it's a heck of a thing. And I you know, my version of that is, you know, I run into somebody who's a little mean or in a bad mood, or on the road, somebody cuts me off, and everybody in the comment section is like, he's so nice, he's so kind, he's always positive. It's like, this is a 1 minute video. I've edited 30 minutes of me cussing out other drivers as they flew past me, so it's great. And it is a warm place to be, but I definitely get encouraged from watching content like yours and seeing it. And, Rick, my girl's dad, wants to certainly travel. Like, we looked up chicken strips tours the other day, and we were looking at your French Alps tour, and we were like, oh, maybe that's pretty good, man. And so because that's the goal. Like, if you can, it's not about the money. It's about, like, if you can do what you love to do and make a living from it, even if it's not making you rich, it's still the best version of your life that you can have. I mean, it's fantastic. And, like, to get content, like, literally just to create videos, there are stressful points, like when you work 30 minutes on a video and then, or I'm sure it's much longer for you, but for me it was like I was dedicated to like 30 minutes, and then Premiere Pro decided to die and not save anything, and I was like, well, I'm going to bed, I'm not dealing with this. And so, but even then, dealing with that is nothing to do with like previous jobs of mine or the stresses of those or anything like that. This is much better. And, I liked in your book when you were talking about, like, I think it was just before I don't think you had left the police force yet, but you talked about, like, before the trip was ironclad in your head, and you were like, this is definitely what I'm doing. Somebody actually pulled a weapon on you. I wouldn't, I'm from Texas. Everybody has a weapon here, but, I still would, if somebody pointed one at me, there would be no situation that I would stick around or no. But yeah, so I don't know, man. I try to remember the positive sides of things.
It's a very, believe it or not, that's not the first time I've had a gun pulled on me. I used to be a bouncer, a doorman back in Glasgow when I was at uni, and I had a guy. Well, in fact, I had two pulled on me back in those days. But I was young. I was 18, 19 years of age. You're surrounded by, like, a load of other doormen. You feel invincible. And then in the police, again, it was a similar sort of mindset when it happened, and that it happened so quick that you literally don't have any time to react. The first time it actually registers in your head, you're looking down the barrel of the gun, and there's not much you can do there. And then, obviously, what happened, and thankfully, I'm still here. But it's just one of those things, it's a life affirming moment when you realise you don't know what's around that corner, do you? And the older I get, and the more situations arise through just day-to-day life, and things happen, people get ill, people pass away, and you're just like, God, it's a very delicate balance that we live in, and you have to make the most of the time that you've got, because we just don't know what is around that next corner, do we? Yeah, no, it's so weird. There was since I've started. We'll talk about YouTube in a bit, but, like, especially Instagram was the first thing that ever popped off. It was, I hit for some reason I can't punch. I've hit 100K before, but I can't punch past it. I don't know what's going on, but I'm not worried about it. It's just something I've noticed. But as Instagram got bigger, I would chat with different content creators. It's what got me in talks with you and things like that. But there was this one guy, his name, I think his Instagram name was Waffler69. And literally all he did was eat funny food, and he was such a warm presence. And so he had a TikTok, and he was really famous on TikTok. He had I think like over 1 million or something like that. And his Instagram had like 70 something thousand. And anyways, he passed away like 2 days ago and he was like 33. Wow. and it is that thing of, like, because he was around my age, I kind of looked at it and I was like, whoa, that's an odd thing to think about, is, that, this is it. This is, whatever happens afterwards is what happens afterwards. But and that's, no one knows for sure. And, but this as of right now, this is what we got. And, and he brought so much joy to everybody else. And you can,
especially his little fan base and his community, you can certainly feel the sadness around him. But like, yeah, it's a weird thing to understand that, you know, and that's what kind of changed me. I was doing a job with the city, local government, and I was ditch digging. Like it was the highest paying job I could get in this city, you know, and it was around the time I met Mackenzie, and you know, I was like, oh, this is it. So I moved out to Conroe, where I'm at now. And you know, so I look around for job to job, and I'm trying to find something good. And you know, I found out the local government was paying the highest out of all the little area around here, and it was ditch digging. And it was the worst job I've ever done in my life. It was so stupid. The people were the worst people I've ever known. They were like, this is the government. And so in my head, I'm like, everybody's on their P's and Q's. No, not at all. They are the worst people. It was horrible. They were just racist and they were mean and vicious with what they said, and which was fine. You know, it was a bunch of men working around each other. It was good, but it was annoying at a certain point, and they would just give you a hard time, especially if you were bottom of the totem pole. You were treated like crap for a long time, and you know, and I was treated like crap because, you know, my skin color wasn't the right shade of what they want. It was a weird thing because they wanted Hispanic people, because Hispanic people work harder than white people. And so and I had never been exposed to that. And I was like, wow, this is odd. This is a weird thing. And, but it was weird, and I hated it. And I remember they were teaching you how to, we had just got done re-asphalting a road, and that asphalt comes out at like 400 degrees. It's hot, and you can only do it in the summertime. And the summertimes here are like 110 degrees. And so we just got done, and they were teaching me how to drive this dump truck, and they were like, pull it forward, and I was like, okay. So I pulled it forward, and they were like, reverse it, and I didn't get it the exact right way, and they were like, all right, do it again, dumbass. And I was like, okay. And so I pulled it forward, and I went to reverse it, but as soon as I put it in reverse, I was like, no, I can't do this. And so I got out of the truck, and it was like an epiphany. And I left, and I was like, and they were like, where are you going? I was like, home. And they were like, what? And I was like, yeah, wow. I can't deal with y'all. Yeah, it was weird, but it worked out so far. There was a few years of struggling. I opened up a coffee stand, and that was going well. And then it was just a nightmare. It's literally just the local government was involved in every single aspect. It was horrendous. It was the worst experience, but you know, I loved creating the drinks for the people, like, cause that's what I did. I would just make great coffee, but, yeah. And I got to meet some amazing people from it. But as far as like the local city government, they were just the worst people. They were it was like what you think a politician is, like, especially up high, you're like, okay, all of them are scummy. And then I'm like, oh yeah, but the ones on the bottom where we are too, they're just the same. Like they're not, they're all the same people.
Power corrupts, man. It's very true. You give somebody a little bit of power, and it often has bad implications on their character for sure.
Yeah.
Right. As you just said there, you did a premiere today of your first sort of long form video on YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
I watched it, man. It was good. I was wondering.
Oh, thanks very much.
I was thinking to myself, how are you going to take that short form content where it's like bang, 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 as you said, there's no dull moments for that, you know, less than a minute long content. How are you going to transpose that across into, you know, well, it's a 10-minute vid, isn't it?
10-minute, yeah.
You did it really well. You did it really well.
Thanks very much.
It totally kept my attention the whole way through.
Thank you very much.
Is that the plan now?
That is for me. That is the plan. I'm going to aim for, it's so funny. I had like 3 hours worth of video, and I was like, man, this is going to be a 20-minute video. I'm so excited. And then I was editing. I was like, oh, this is 10 minutes. And I was pushing for 10 minutes. And because I wanted it to flow, I wanted to have this, because I've edited before. I have when I was like, I think I was 21, and there was like this basically another epiphany of a moment where I was like, I loved YouTube. I've loved YouTube for years, especially the content creators. And there was this one guy I liked. His name was Philip DeFranco, and he would do news and things like that on YouTube. And he's been an OG, like he's been around forever. And I knew he was out in LA, and I knew they had interns. And so I told my mom, I was like, I'm going out to LA. I want to get an internship with Phil. She's like, all right, good luck. And I was like, okay. So I ended up flying out to LA, staying at the YMCA. It was like a men's home where really, really poor people stayed, and that was me. And it was a men's home, and you just got a room, and it was a shared, like everything else was shared. You just got a bed and a dresser. And I stayed out there, and I started looking into this fill-up thing, and because I was young, I didn't know I should actually try to iron out all these details. No, I had no idea. So I was just like, boom, I'm doing it. And so
you just turned up without making contact with him?
None. And luckily he was doing hiring, and he has a whole company, like it's a whole thing now. And well, it was, I don't know if it is now still, it might have tuned it down a bit, but he had this website that he posted on his Twitter that they were hiring interns, and the website was called Intern Sushi. And if you posted a video rather than just write in, if you posted a video, then you were guaranteed an interview. And I was like, all right. So I was sitting inside of the YMCA in the men's home. I put up my iPhone. I'm like, my name's Brad, blah, 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 blah. This is what I want to do, yada, yada, yada. And I got the interview, and it was like a big group interview, and there was like 15 of us, and they did these kind of, and Phil wasn't there. It was like his, I don't want to say assistant. I don't know who it was. It might've been like somebody helping him, obviously. And she was there, and it was at this kind of office building, and they did like these kind of psychological questions that were like to gauge if you could work well with a group and stuff like that. And I got notification or an email the next day that, I'd got the internship, and I would be working Monday, Wednesday, Friday. And at the time, when we first got the internship, it was an unpaid internship.
Right.
So, no money. But I was, of course, this guy, I've watched his content for years. I would love to help create this video. And so as an intern, you kind of do piddly things. You don't really do much. You cut comments out to put them in a basket, because they had this video on there that was where they would pull comments out of a hat, and they would answer the questions. And but I fell in love with watching the editors, because these guys edit every single day. And he posts, especially back then, there was 3 companies under him. There was his company, there was one called SourceFed, and then he was starting another one called SourceFed Nerd. And they would post videos every single day. So he had an editing bay in his office. It was a big building in Studio City. And I just loved watching these guys, because they were quick. They were, and so that's kind of where I fell in love with it. And a couple of times they would like let me sit down, and they would all edit in Premiere, and I would watch them, and they would let me practice. But, obviously I had nothing to do with Final Cut, but like, I loved it. I fell in love with it, and I thought it was great. But then, the internship ended. I came back to Texas. It was a whole thing, but I've always enjoyed it. So editing was never really too big of a concern, because I was like, I can at least chop together something, I can chop together a video. But it is that thing of like the first full length one coming from 1 minute videos and trying to stretch it out to 10 minutes or 15 minutes, or something like you, where it's 20 minutes. I'm like, God, man, this is a challenge. It's much, and especially because I'm using a MacBook Air, and like I got to 7 minutes yesterday in Premiere Pro, and the MacBook just would not push past it. It would not go past 7 minutes. It was too much RAM, or too much. Yeah, it was way too powerful. And because the footage I record on is, it was 4K. The GoPro can go up to 5K. It was 4K that I was filming at. And then when I quit that, because the MacBook would not handle it, and then I went down to 2.7, and that was okay. But then, at 7 minutes, I had to compress the file to a 1080p file. Otherwise, it wouldn't do anything. It would not, it would literally just freeze, and it would take a long while. Yep. There you go.
My camera's gone now.
That makes me feel much better.
It's done this again now. I don't know why the GoPros are doing that.
I don't know.
Yeah, it's literally, it's just not registering the GoPro anymore. Let me pull that out. That's weird. Right, okay, then. So we're on this one now. Hi.
There we go. It's all full production.
Yeah, this one's proper cropped in now, isn't it?
Yeah.
Let me try and turn that a little bit. There we go. There we go. That's a bit better. Sorry. For the folks that are listening, we're having some camera issues.
No worries.
Yeah, you're saying there about the edit. Like, I am a painfully slow editor, and I don't know if I do something different to other people, but like I have other friends within the YouTube sort of circle, the Missing Doon Flyer, Lamb Chops, Richie Vida, people like that, and they
all great channels. I love every single one of those channels, by the way.
Excellent. Yeah, they all seem to edit so much quicker than I do. Like I'm editing a video at the moment, and I'm on I think this is the 6th day of editing it, and it's. I don't know how I could do it any quicker, but it's just taking an age. It just takes forever. Like I should have had the video out today, and it's going to be tomorrow, if not Sunday, Monday, I think, realistically, before this video's done. So I don't know what I do wrong.
Do you enjoy editing? Is that something that you enjoy? Do you really? Yeah. I mean, that's probably why. Love it. Yeah, I mean, you just, if you're enjoying it, it's kind of hard, especially as I find that as I'm editing, there are certain points that I will literally get done editing, and if it's perfect, I will watch that piece over and over and over again. And then, of course, I find something within it, and I'm like, oh, maybe I can cut this out, or maybe I can crop it to here, or maybe I can zoom or something. And but yeah, I mean, it doesn't, for you to say, it takes, you're on your 6th day, that's still surprisingly fast to me. Because again, watching your content, I'm like, man, it would take me, I don't know how long. I mean, it took me 8 hours for a 10-minute video yesterday. That was, I shot it yesterday too. But I often I tell my girlfriend, I'm like, yeah, first thing we're getting when YouTube starts rolling out them checks is a better computer. Cause there ain't no way I'm dealing with this nonsense. But yeah, I mean, but seeing your content and it's so crazy because there's such a flow to it. There's such like a good flow to it where it's like, it's an organic, you are another one of those guys that will kind of say at the beginning what's going on. And then throughout the video, you stick to that. And it's you go on a journey and you go on this trip and it got such a lovely flow to it.
Thank you.
And of course. And, but yeah, it is interesting because when I was doing the internship, that was their job. And it's almost like they had to be detached in order to edit that much. Like for them, it was weird because, I'd come from watching Phil's videos. And so that's the only thing I had ever seen. I'd never seen an edit or how they did it or how he shot it or anything like that. And it was so bizarre because there was this one time he didn't want it when he was filming. No one was in the room. No one was allowed to sit with him. No one was. And so it was just him in a room with a light and his background, and he would just chat. But watching the raw videos of him just doing it was so great because it would literally be him and he'd be like, what's going on, guys? And then he would pause, move, and he'd be like, I just wanted to, and it was where they were meant to cut. And for those guys, they would just go tut, 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 and then they would overlay different graphics and stuff like that. And the biggest part was understanding what was copyright free, what they could use. And there was a program that would input everything at the end of before uploading. Now YouTube does it, but this was before YouTube would check for copyrights before you posted. And yeah, so it was amazing to watch the workflow. And I think that kind of sped up my editing, was understanding that I can't almost be OCD about it to where it's like, rewatch this, and then you just got, nope, tuck it, you're done, move on. I commit that cardinal sin of, they all say that, don't they? Don't keep rewatching. And I do. I'll rewatch from the start because I really want to make sure it flows. But what it's like when you edit, I'll end up watching something, I don't know, 30, 40 times throughout the course of the day. So in fact, that's probably rubbish. It's probably double that. You're constantly rewatching. And if it's a 20-minute vid, that's 30 times 20 minutes. It's just, it's not good. No. Yeah. And it's It's, and I will say there's a good buddy of mine named Oliver. He's got a kind of a film company of his own. He shoots and edits, and he's by far one of the most talented editors in film. Like, he is so good, and I'm thankful that, like, to know him, because there are certain times, especially with lighting, he's very good at that, and like storytelling, like his stuff is amazing, and he's become a very dear friend of mine. And but like, he is guilty of that too. Like, and that's what takes him, like, especially with his own stuff or his own videos, he is so precise and with how it flows and everything. It's immaculate, like, when it's done. But he's definitely, like, it's that thing of, like, when he posts it, that's us watching it one time, but he's watched it 2,000 times just to make sure everything goes the right way. Or sometimes it's just like your own ego. It's like, oh, this looks real good, I got to watch that again. Oh, look at that. You want to know how I did that? Watch. But
what I find is you get so engrossed in your work, in the edit, and then, like, I think I've watched it loads of times and I think, right, that's it, done. But by that point, I'm normally so like late to publish it. Like, I always try and publish on a Friday if I possibly can, and I try and publish early on my Patreon so they get a little bit of a head start on it. So I just, as soon as it's rendered, it's like I upload it. And then sometimes I might watch it once it's up on YouTube. And then once I watch it there, I'm like, no, that's not, it doesn't feel the same. And you're like, no, I should have cut there. I should have done this. I should have, oh, damn.
Yeah.
It's almost like, once you've made it, take a step back, take a day off, come back and watch it again. But then you just keep doing it, wouldn't you? You'll just keep lengthening out the whole process.
Can you watch your own content with other people?
The only person I think I've watched it with is my wife, and I quite like watching perversely, I quite like watching it with my wife because she has no interest in bikes at all,
right? And
she doesn't really. She's into YouTube a little bit, but she's not that fussed about it. So she, like, I can gauge it from her. I can see when she starts to get a bit restless, I'm like, yeah, I should have cut there. I should have cut that bit out. Yeah, because she's lost the attention span then. It's gone. And I'm like, that's what most people are going to be like. I should really run it by her every single time. But
interesting. Yeah, I never even had thought about that. Yeah, to have somebody who's not interested in your videos watch your videos and see where their attention, that's fantastic. That's great. Yeah, that's a good way to do that. I couldn't do it. There's no way I could watch, like, I can watch my own, like, by myself. I can sit there and look at, my video. But if somebody was watching my video, I'm in the other room reading it, like, on my phone or something. There's no way. But, so far, so good. People have been super kind and welcoming. But yeah, it's a weird thing to put yourself out there, especially on the internet, especially with the following. And, it's almost like that standing on a stage naked thing, it's just like, oh, okay, look at me. What am I doing? Let me entertain you for 20 minutes. And yeah, it's hard. It's hard.
Me again, folks, just a short one. We are also sponsored this month by the Influencer Store. If you go to TeapotOne.com, you'll go to the shop, check out any of the merchandise that I have available. That is all handled by the Influencer Store right here in the UK. I've got a quick bit of blurb to read out for them, and that is, the Influencer Store helps you build your brand, big or small, providing you with a solution and apparel. We help you to increase your fan base while supporting you with starting your own influencer clothing line with nothing more than just an idea or design, and there are no hidden costs. For more info, come check us out at theinfluencerstore.co.uk or drop us an email at online@influencerstore.co.uk for more information. Make sure you check them out, folks. Head to TeapotOne.com, head to the shop, and you'll be supporting both the Teapot One channel and the podcast right here if you buy anything from the merchandise. So a massive thanks in advance to you, and a huge thanks to the Influencer Store. And we're also sponsored by Ultimate Add-ons. Now, Ultimate Add-ons, they make dustproof and shockproof mobile phone cases and action camera mounts. They will fit just about every single bike out there. Me personally, I always use the Helix strap mount because it means I can easily attach that to just about any bike that I'm riding at that time. I can jump on and off bikes and just easily unscrew the strap, whack it on the next bike, tighten it all up, and off I go. It's very versatile. I've had no vibration issues affecting my camera using the Helix strap. That's the one that I will stand by and swear by. Been using it about 5 years now. So again, if you head to Ultimate Add-ons, so that's Ultimate with ADDONS, ultimateaddons.com. If you use the code TeapotOne10, so TEAPOTONE with the number 10, you'll get 10% off. And lastly, folks, I just want to say a massive thank you to you. Thank you very much for listening to the podcast, for watching the vids, for commenting, for liking, for sharing, for following and subscribing. It all is a massive, massive help. We're on a bit of an upturn at the moment. The podcast is gathering momentum. The channel is certainly doing really well. So a huge thanks to everybody who's been involved with that. If you want to go that extra mile, then you can always buy some merch over at TeapotOne.com. Or if you really want to get committed, you can join the clan over at patreon.com/TeapotOne. All links for everything are down below, folks. I appreciate any support in any form you can give. All right, then. That's enough with the beg and bowl. Let's get back to the podcast. Right, dude, we haven't done any questions yet. So are you all right if we start firing through some questions?
Yeah.
Right, cool.
Absolutely.
How long have you got, Brad?
Oh, anytime. Yeah, you're good. I'm clear up.
Are you sure? Right, because these can go on for quite a while. So
no, you're solid, man. Yeah, I cleared it with Mackenzie. She's good to go. She knows not to interrupt because I'm in the living room right now. So, but she's good. So we're good.
Well, we'll not keep you. We'll not keep you for the whole afternoon. Right. First off, we'll head to. I call it the clan. I know that's maybe an unfortunate term over in the States, but I'm Scottish, so I'll say it's the clan. So yes, clan. Patreon.com/TeapotOne. First one, Harley. How's it, guys? You're alone at a busy beach. You go for a swim, and your budgie smugglers disappear somehow. You, sir, are a naked man. What's your next move? Do you call them budgie smugglers over in the States?
I have no idea what a budgie smuggler is. I'm sorry.
It's your swimming
swim
pants.
Trunks.
Swim trunks.
Yeah. Swim trunks. Yeah. Okay, good. If they go miss, I don't know at what point did I take them off for them to go missing, but if if it just naturally happened and they were gone, I probably wouldn't leave the water. I'd probably go deep into the water and stand there. Or it depends on how cold the water is too. Especially, that if it's too cold, I ain't coming out of the water till nighttime. But yeah, that's probably sit there. I don't know, man. I might run. I have no idea. We'll see it depends on the beach too. So,
yeah. But you're a modest man. For me, right? I am quite aware I am not Brad Pitt. I've never been a particular physical specimen. Even in my younger days and when I used to play rugby, I was still quite a chunky guy, carrying quite a lot of timber there. And I just never had any issue with getting naked. I think it goes back. I think it goes back to my rugby days where you're out with the rugby boys having a beer, and we just used to strip naked in the bar. It's just what you did. You started singing, you got naked.
It's so weird because because I stayed in the UK for a bit, and that's something I noticed so much was like the UK is perfectly fine for the most part, obviously, with nudity or, especially in television or something, or in the newspapers or something. Yeah. And, but here we're not okay with nudity. But we're okay with the most violent television being on at 5 p.m. So it's very different. But yeah, that's probably what I would do. Just hide in the water.
I'll get out the water and I'll go and get you another pair, bring it back to you. No worries.
Thanks very much.
Right, cheers, Harley, for that one. Next one, Charlie Callard. Evening all. Hope you're all fit and well. All good, thank you, Charlie. So my question, if you could have anyone design and build your custom bike, who would it be? Mine would be Bruce McQuiston from Moto Studio in Miami. Keep them shiny side up, guys, and safe travels. Right. Anyone design and build you a custom bike?
I quite like the ARC bikes from Keanu. I know it's Keanu Reeves that owns the company. I don't know if he's the designer. I know his partner tends to be the designer. But yeah, those ARC bikes are just insane looking, and they're all, custom made with each and every one. And, I foolishly one day looked them up and I was like, maybe one day I'll be able to, because motorcycles aren't cheap, but they're cheaper than a new car for the most part. Yep. And, So I was like, yeah, let me look at this. I can afford this one day. And no, they were like 90 grand. And I was like, probably, no, I'm not dealing with that. But if he was very nice enough to just gift me one, yeah, absolutely. They are beautiful, beautiful bikes.
Mate, if the old YouTube keeps going the way it's going, the checks will start coming, especially now shorts are monetized.
Yeah, that's odd.
I had a little look on your YouTube site. You've got 20 odd million views, it says. Mm-hmm. That's incredible. I've got half that, and I've been going 10 years. It's incredible. Absolutely incredible.
I think it's just those shorts, man. Those shorts are, I don't know how the monetization is going to work with those. I know it's a little bit different. Like they're blocking the monetization. So it's like, cause when I got approved for it 3 days ago for monetization. Mm-hmm. I got an email at like midnight, and I woke up and I checked it, and I got approved with it. But most of my shorts were deemed ineligible, and I was like, well, what's going on here? And I was like, well, maybe because I have the graphics of the restaurants or something like that. And so I ended up having to chat with Google to figure out like why is my stuff demonetized? Mm-hmm. They were like, well, how'd you add the music? I was like, well, through the YouTube app. Mm-hmm. And they were like, oh, okay, well, it's the music. And I was like, well, YouTube says it's okay for me to use that music. And so it was a little bit and they're fixing it up to where like February 6th, those videos will become eligible, but they're just ineligible as of right now. Mm-hmm. And it's a weird thing because I use, for the most part, the same songs, and some of the videos using the same songs are monetized, and some of them it's a weird thing. And as far as I know, like it's not going to be like monetization as far as like longer content goes. It's going to be like I think it's you collect 55% of the split, but that 55% is shared between a block of shorts. So it could be like 10 shorts all at once, share one ad, and that is you split that money with those 10 people if they're monetized. Wow. So it's really kind of a shadowy, thing, because it's hard to kind of gauge and see what exact, and I have no idea, but 20 million views. I'm not complaining. I'm pretty happy. And it was like, it's 20 million, and it's like 2 or 3 videos that are the chunk of that 20 millions that literally I was like, what, how did this go? Like, what is so, I couldn't tell you why they're appealing. I have no idea. People are interesting, because the first one that went viral was I was like, I fixed a guy. He had his gas cap open on his car, and I shut it for him. That was it. That's how I opened up the video. Mm-hmm. I was like, no worries, you're good. And then I got an order to go to a gas station, 7-Eleven out there, and I pick it up, and I was like, 7-Eleven is a gas station out here, or if you're anywhere else, a petrol station. And I thought, and man, 90, I think 3,000 comments on that wow. Short. And I will say this, 3,000 comments, 2,000 of them are just it's a lot of German people saying, we say Tanksville, we don't say petrol station. I was like, oh, my fault, I'm so sorry. But for the most part, everybody's very lovely. But yeah.
I had my biggest video so far, long form and short form, by a mile, is it's just GS max speed. It's literally me on my GS on the Autobahn, just maxing it out. And it's purely, I'd been over in Romania, and I was heading back to go to the Isle of Man for the TT, and I was on the Autobahn, and I just thought, some people might be interested in this. So maximum speed in the GS, that's it. And it's a short, so I think it's 40 odd seconds long. And that has got over 500,000 views. Just that. And most of it is people going, I think I get to 139 mile an hour. Yeah, 139 is they're limited. The GSs are limited. They won't go quicker. And you have some people going, well, my GS does 145. Like bollocks. It's limited. It will not go above that. Yeah. But then you get most of the views are like, it's 139 kilometers an hour. That's, my 125 will go quicker than that. That's most of it, and it's like, it's miles per hour. It's bloody miles per hour. That's always fun. I think for me, if I could have anyone design and build, I had a chap on the podcast called Jody from a company called Thornton 100, and they do custom build Triumphs. and they are a work of art. They are absolutely stunning. So I think, yeah, if I hit the jackpot, I'd be straight on the blower to Jodie and saying, right,
yeah, I'll have to get that name from you for that. Yeah,
it's beautiful.
absolutely.
Thornton 100, they're called.
Thornton 100. Okay, yeah. Absolutely.
Right, cheers for that one, Charlie. Next one, Carl Dutz, Rideouts. Hi, Bruce. Hi, Brad. My questions are, who's your favourite moto vlogger and who's your favourite non-moto vlogger? Ooh, right.
That's a good one.
It is a good one.
I will say TeapotOne is my no, absolutely. I got to be honest with you. I've reached out to I've chatted with a few other ones, and like I did my top 5 moto vloggers. I released, like, it was my first time ever venturing out from a non-delivery video, and it was you. There was a few others, but you have the best atmosphere in your videos, and there's obviously there are a few others that are like Itchy Boots or something like that. I think Norley, what she does is incredible, and she goes to some areas that I wouldn't venture to, and she goes by herself, and fantastic. But yeah, I would say, like, watching a Nora Lee video, you're getting kind of like this, almost like an education on the geological aspects of an area, because she's a geologist, so that makes sense. But watching your videos, it's much more. It almost feels like you're a part of a group of friends, and you're just having fun. You're going to these great places. So yeah, TeapotOne is my favorite moto vlogger. And then to non vlogger or non moto vlogger. I would say he doesn't post as much as he used to, but Casey Neistat was the biggest, especially when he first started. That's when I found him, is when he first started posting daily videos, and it was just it was incredible. He did these great things with the camera, and he pushed the realm of editing, and he did fantastic. Like, his videos were fun and quippy, and he was the one that always started his videos out with a mission, and by the end of it you completed it, and they were I don't know, it was great. And I wish he posted more, but obviously, like, I watched an interview with him, and he said that it was taking a toll on his marriage, and like it was, and his friendships and stuff like that, because his videos took a long time to edit. But yeah, so he was probably my favorite. I'm trying to think. I don't watch many non-moto vloggers now, because I like to see different areas and travel. Like, that's the appeal of the moto vlog, is to see and travel different destinations. But yeah, so I would say Casey is my favorite non one. But yeah.
I'm with you on that. Casey's what got me into YouTube properly. I'd done the videos for the world trip, but for me, once the trip was done, that was it. That was YouTube finished. Why would I be on YouTube anymore? And then sort of 2016, I started watching the Casey Neistat vids, and they were just addictive, weren't they? They were all 6 to 8 minutes long, and it was, as you said, it just grabbed your attention straight away. And he held you there for pretty much the whole video, to the extent where I'd just binge watch all his vids. Yeah. Sometimes I'd watch vids again, even though I'd seen them before. But I love that one. I'll watch it again. And it was daily, but even daily wasn't enough, was it? Because you're like, I want more.
Oh no.
And even my wife got into the Casey Neistat vids. I remember being on my honeymoon with my wife over in Baja, Mexico, and we were watching Casey Neistat vids on our honeymoon. She'd wake up and she'd be like, "Has Casey posted another video?"
That's yet? Right. Yeah, that's it. That's awesome.
Brilliant, man. Brilliant. I think favorite moto vlogger. He's actually a friend of mine. It would be a chap called Lamb Chop Rides.
Yeah.
I really like John's content. We're very similar in character, very similar in physical stature, and I just like his content. It's funny, it's dynamic, it's informative. He knows his stuff. So yeah, I like Lamb Chops.
Absolutely.
Other moto vloggers are available, obviously.
Yeah.
Right, next one, Trev. Evening, guys. Hope it's all well at your end. My stupid question is as follows. If you're stuck on a deserted island and you had to choose from the following, what would you choose? One music album to listen to. Oh, okay. What one album would you listen to?
Oh, I gotta get the name of the album, but it would be the Rolling Stones. The one with oh my goodness, Rolling Stones. I can't think of the name of the album, but it was the one with oh my god. Of course I'm going blank now, aren't I?
Yeah, I know.
On the spot. Yeah, hold on. Pause 1 second. The Rolling Stones.
What would we do without Google?
I'm telling you, man. I would assume, in all honesty, if I didn't have Google, I would probably have a better memory. But
it's true, though, isn't it? Like back in the day, before the internet, you had to remember all this stuff.
oh yeah, phone numbers.
Yeah.
If you told me, if it outside of my mom and my girlfriend, if you were to ask me a person's phone number that was close to me, a good friend, I would pull this out immediately.
I do not even know my own wife's phone number. How bad is that? I've got no idea.
Yeah.
Sorry, wife.
It's called Beggar's Banquet. It was released in '68, and that was the one with Symphony for the Devil. I love that song so much.
Yeah, that's awesome. That is an awesome song. Awesome song. Cool. Album for me, what would it be? I'll do like Foo Fighters. I think it would just have to be best of Foo Fighters.
Yeah.
Or what's the one I've just got into just now? I like a bit of Stevie Ray Vaughan. I do like that.
Yeah.
I like a bit of that. That would do me. Foo Fighters, I'd be happy.
There's this great renaissance of country music coming back now, where it's like there's so because I grew up in Texas, so obviously that was the number one thing we listened to, and so there was a certain you got George Strait or somebody, these legends that would tell these great stories within the songs, and then it went through like this kind of shit phase of like just people. It was almost like pandering to the blue collar person here. And it was just nonsense music basically. But now there's like guys like Tyler Childers. I think that's the way you say it. And his songs they're almost like a harken back to the great country music of days. And there's a few other artists that are definitely, there's one guy that sounds just like Johnny Cash, and his songs are really extremely well written the same way. And so I'm happy about that too. But yeah, Tyler Childers, his recent gospel album is really, really good. I love it.
Do you know, country seems to be having a bit of a movement over here in the UK as well. There's always been a bit of an underground country scene in the UK, particularly up in the Midlands of England and Scotland as well. But it seems to be becoming a bit more mainstream over here as well. I like a bit of country. I've got to admit.
Yeah. It's good. It's good feeling too. Makes you want to hop on a horse and drink a beer with your buds.
Absolutely. Do you know? I've been over to the States quite a few times, and obviously on the big trip, I crossed right over the States and went all over. And I felt an affinity with the South. With Texas, South Carolina, Georgia, all these sorts of places. I just felt at home. I don't know why, but I just really felt home there.
It's a weird thing because growing up, I didn't. You don't experience it. You don't kind of and you don't appreciate it for what it is. And then I went out to LA and I was like, this is. I mean, I loved what I was doing because I was doing what I wanted to do. But man, the atmosphere was just a nightmare. The people were not like and I don't know if they were not friendly or it wasn't just that. It was just a different vibe. And then when I went to the UK, I stayed in Bournemouth and a couple of other spots, but yeah, primarily Bournemouth. And I was like, this is different. It was great. I loved it.
Is everyone 90 years of age?
Yeah. Yeah, that was yep. That's exactly yep. And but it was very different but it was so funny. As I was stayed over there, I would listen, and I hadn't listened to country music in a long time. I was like, there's other music out there, and like kind of as you do when you're growing up, you kind of the only thing you can think of is getting away or moving on from home. And then when you finally do, you're like, so I would listen to country music while I was over there, and it was such a warm, like it's so warm. It's like I don't know. It's great. But like, I also know that, when, like foreign people come from like, England, Scotland, Ireland, wherever they come from, for the most part, the South is very welcoming, and it's also like that cultural thing. It's so cool, and it's in its own right. I love it. I love being from here. During the summer, it's a little annoying to be from here because it's just hot. But yeah, it's good.
Yeah, I could definitely see me living, Texas, that sort of area. Yeah, I loved it. Really did like the South.
Yeah.
Right, so Trev has another question: Space Invaders or Pac-Man?
Oh, I'll tell you this. We had my parents had a Pac-Man arcade, so I'll have to go with Pac-Man because that was in the house. So Pac-Man for me.
Space Invaders for me.
There you
definitely.
go.
Yeah. Next one, he says lifetime supply of crisps, which are chips in America. Obviously, we call them crisps over here, or chocolate. So chips or chocolate.
Oh yeah, I like a good chip, man. A good chip. I enjoy chocolate, but man, a good bag of chips, lifetime supply, I'm good to go. I mean, neither one would be good for you, but either way. No.
I am a total chocoholic. I have such a sweet tooth. Yeah. Oh, I'm terrible. I will eat myself into a coma with chocolate. When you eat so much chocolate that you just have to lie down and go to sleep. That's terrible. Yeah, that's terrible. This last one, any one person to keep you company, not your other half or family member. So you can only have one other person with you. Who would it be?
Interesting. Not a family member or your partner. Wow, that's a good one. I like that one. And it has to be a human. You can't pick like your dog.
I was just thinking that. I was just thinking I'd have my dog with me. No, let's be tough. Let's say, it's got to be a human.
I suppose I would want it to be somebody who could actually hold a conversation and like chat, because it would be boring if they were just kind of. That would be cool to like. I'd probably go and call back to earlier. Go with Joe Rogan because you could talk about anything for hours, and then if it came down to it and you needed to survive, like something happened, more than likely you'd be okay if you were with him because he probably knows everything about survival. So I'd go with him.
He's a man's man, isn't he? I was thinking Joe Rogan was in my head when I was sort of mulling that over in my head, but then I thought he is so single-minded on whatever he focuses on. He just throws everything at it, doesn't he? Like his fitness, nothing will stop him working out. He will work out. It's got to be done. And obviously, I can quite happily walk by a gym. No problem. I don't get stressed about this. No. I think for me, Billy Connolly. The comedian Billy Connolly.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just a funny guy and quite an open soul. I think Billy Connolly.
It was so funny because when I was 17, I was a part of this church group that was going on this mission trip to Mexico, and we were all young, and so all the people that were going on this mission trip we all stayed in the same house the night before. And we went to Walmart and we were looking for movies and stuff like that. And there was this movie that I had heard a lot about, but never seen. And it was, this is before you go on a mission trip, spreading the word of God. And so we bought the Boondock Saints and we were like, this is a great movie. And it introduced me to him. And I was like, man, this is a different, I love this guy. And then for years, I didn't see him it wasn't somebody that I latched onto. And then I started, when I went over to the UK and then kind of afterwards and before a little bit, I would look up British kind of comedians or something like that. And man, his stuff was so good. And like you said, that soul, that's a great choice. I love that. That's fantastic.
See, the thing is, right, is I'm from the northeast of Scotland. I grew up in a little town, not even a town, a very small village, about 35 miles north of Aberdeen. So it's right up in the northeast of Scotland. But I lived there till I was about 17, 18, and then I went to university in Glasgow. So I arrived in Glasgow, and it's like everybody is Billy Connolly. Everybody has that wicked sense of humour. And, like Glaswegians, most Glaswegians that I know of, they just have this ability to talk about anything and make it funny. You know, they can read a menu out in a restaurant and have you in stitches. It's just that sort of person. and I loved it. Like I worked the doors in the nightclubs with so many of these old school guys who were all like Billy Connolly. They all had these incredible stories and great senses of humor. I loved it.
That's what I missed is like when I went over there, I didn't, I had a layover in Glasgow, and that was the first time when I landed. Or I say when I landed, when the plane landed, I looked over and I saw these hills and I was like, oh, that's Scotland. This is Scotland. This is such a good feeling. And they let us off the plane and it just billowed down with snow immediately. And I was like, oh, what? Yeah. I'd never seen snow. Yeah. I had never seen it before. And I was like, this is different. And I was like, snow is actually very cold. I did not plan for that to be that because I was I'd flown from Houston to Glasgow and I was in shorts and a t-shirt, Texas outfit, man. And it was, it was chilly, but it couldn't be a warmer of a reception because I took another flight from Glasgow to Southampton and it was on this very small plane. It actually had propellers. It didn't have like a, jet engine and it was a very small plane. And I sat next to a Scotsman and we just chatted and it was like, it's essentially, I feel like Scotland or most, and this might be a little profane to say, but like, I feel like most Scottish people, the ones I met at least, it was almost like you're meeting your counterpart, like the Southern, the South culture of America is very much almost like it's this very warm and just funny. Most of the time, incredibly inappropriate, but like the funniest stuff is said. It's amazing.
I think that's true. I think a lot of Scots, when they went over to America back in the day, a lot of them either went north up into Canada, didn't they, or they headed south, and that was it. That seems to be where a lot of them are. Yeah,
I don't know. Like we looked up the origin of my last name, which is Bailey, and there's two sides to it. There's this. And I read this book. It was a book at an airport, and I had this long layover when I was there. And it was the book of famous Scottish clans, and there was like the clan of Bailey. And I was like, oh, this. So I don't know if that's true, and that's where I like my bloodline hearkened from. But I've chose it as my blood. Like I was this is the best. Yeah, this is fantastic. And but there was, especially back in the day. I think like I say back in the day. I mean, you go over to England or Scotland or anywhere over there. Back in the day, it's like 1400s, but back in the day here is like 100 years ago. But there were so many diverse cultures. My grandfather and my grandmother who adopted my mom, they had passed away about 4 years ago, but their last name was Boggy, Bhee, and they were from, or his grandfather immigrated from the Czech Republic. Wow. And there was this in the town they stayed in was a very, very small town in Texas. And I'm talking, this town is one road with one shop and the gas station is in a different town. There's no, there's nothing in this town, but that's where a lot of Czech Republic people moved, and immigrated to. And it's just, and Texas is, I feel like very welcoming to most, for the most part. Californians are always debatable, but like for the most part.
Is it true what like Joe Rogan's always talking about this, how Austin, it is Texas, but it's not Texas. It's
absolutely.
It's like the blue state of Texas. Austin, is that right?
Absolutely. Yeah. It depends on, especially, your political stance, especially in the States. I don't know how it is everywhere else, but I do know in the States it's almost fighting words, which way you lean. And you're like, to me, I feel like a lot of, I don't know, I don't want to speak for a generation, but like in my generation, especially, it's you could be really political, and that opinion of yours is what should be law. You know what I mean? And that's how you look at it. And for me, I'm like, I don't want to pay you that much money. That's the only thing I care about. Don't take that much money away from me.
Yeah.
But yeah, for what he said is absolutely right. Austin is it's very different. It's a fun town. It's lots of pubs and clubs, and it's fantastic, but it's very different. There's a famous saying. It's keep Austin weird is the town slogan. So and it is very different. A lot of Democratic people live over there, and you get sprinkles of Democrats throughout Texas, but this is a very, very red state. Because people really drastically underestimate the size of Texas. And I posted this in the video where it's like, Texas is huge. Austin is, it's a big city, but then Texas is massive. If I got on my motorcycle and rode 12 hours west, I'm still only about halfway through. Like, it's a huge state.
That is crazy.
Yeah, it's nuts. And there's hill country, which is beautiful. Texas hill country is some of the best riding. It's beautiful. There's this road up there called Twisted Sisters. It's a famous road here in the States. I think it's got 192 twists inside of 5 miles. Like, it's incredible. Yeah, it's nuts. So hill country's great, but then you go out west and it's just barren wasteland for miles, and you get Palo Duro Canyon and stuff. But so I want to travel, but man, it's a lot of hours on that bike just to get to anywhere around here.
One of my striking memories of Texas was I was riding on the bike and I saw this great big billboard. I can't remember if I took a picture of it or not, but there was a massive billboard for this place that did 72-ounce steaks, and it basically said you got a free firearm if you could eat the steak. And I was like, what? You get a gun if you can eat the steak?
Yeah, welcome to Texas, man.
This is my kind of town. Yeah.
More than likely, that gun that they give you went and that's how they got that steak for you too. I mean, yeah, absolutely.
Right.
That's
so
awesome.
Trev says, thanks to both. Look forward to what madness 2023 brings. Cheers, Trev. Same to you, pal.
Thanks very much.
Last one of the Patreon questions. Simon Lewis. Hey, Bruce and Brad. Love the video shorts, Brad, and of course yours, Bruce. So you're picking up all this food for everyone. What's the one meal you want picked up for you?
Oh, good choice. I mean, steak sounds pretty good, There's this one place in Houston that I've wanted to go to. I think it's the oldest steakhouse in Houston. I think it's Tony's. I want to say Tony's Steakhouse. That sounds right. But they do like these dry aging steaks, and I've had a dry aged steak once and it was delicious, but these guys will dry age the steak for like 90 days. And it's like, it's an art form, and it's Angus beef from North Texas. And so, I mean, it's fantastic, but yeah, that would be delicious. I don't know if it would be good. I might just go pick it up myself though. I don't know if I'd let anybody else travel with it. I don't know if I trust them with it.
I've got a thing about nachos at the moment. I don't know where this has come from, but nachos with chili, nachos with chili and cheese. Oh man. Yeah. Love it.
Yeah, absolutely.
I have no idea where it's come from, but I'm on a nacho kick at the moment. Yeah.
Oh yeah, you got to.
Simon says, also, what's the weirdest encounter you've had when delivering food?
Let's see. I had a because when I pick up the order, I always send a message to the person who I'm delivering to, and I'm always chatting to them and letting them know, it's not me that's taking so long, it's the restaurant or something like that. And so this person was very friendly and very nice and pretty professional. And then I answered, it was like, hey, I would like for you to hand me the order rather than drop it off at the door. Mm-hmm. And again, that is up to the customer, how they want it to be handed. Most people want it at the door, but every now and then maybe they got their food stolen or something and whatnot. But so I knocked on the door, and this gentleman opened the door, and he was like in a muumuu, but it was just like a very long shirt, just a little too short, and there was nothing out. There was nothing going on downstairs. Like he was wearing nothing else, and literally, it wasn't something that you couldn't look away from. Like, it was definitely it was like a train wreck, man. You had to just, you were like, what is going, what? And so that was probably, and he was very friendly, you know, a little too friendly. Yeah. And but yeah, so that was probably the weird, you know, nothing was said inappropriately, but I was just like, man, you couldn't pop some pants on. Like, this is all right.
Well,
here's your food.
If the internet is to be believed, it seems to be a lot of women ordering deliveries and then, you know, opening the door with nothing on.
No, I got the opposite of that, man. No, I got the opposite. I got a man. Yeah, he's just, you know, hanging out there.
One day, mate. One day.
Yeah. We'll see. Yeah, we'll see how it goes. I got plenty of videos to make, and that's the thing. Is that was the. I try not to put the customer in the videos, just especially if I can see like they look at the camera and they're a little thrown off or something like that. For the most part, I will, but I'll try to, you know, angle it different. It doesn't matter, But yeah, I didn't have my camera on, and I would have absolutely 1,000% put him in the video, and I would have blurred everything, but I would have put him in the video. You expose me to that, I'm going to expose the world to that. Thank you very much.
Absolutely. Yeah. Right, that's all the questions on Patreon. I think we've got one or two over on Instagram and Facebook. Are you okay to do that? Yeah. So I know that's nearly an hour and a half I've kept you, man.
No worries.
Thank you very much to everybody on Patreon and the clan there for your questions. Now we will go to Instagram. So that's at TeapotOne Insta. And obviously I'll leave all Brad's social links down below. Who have we got here? I think there's one on here. Yes, the VFR tourist. We just covered it. Obvious question. Craziest delivery. Better yet, how many big-haired Texas women have you tried to get some wink wink?
That's a great way.
I used to deliver pizza in Dallas, Texas in my younger days, and I got hit on a lot.
This guy must be good looking, and I must be lacking something. It never happens to me. I did have there. Well, no, there was this one time. The lady met me downstairs. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it was almost like a band camp experience. And I was dropping off at her apartment, and she met me. Her apartment was upstairs. She met me about halfway down, and she was like, "Do you want to come in?" I was like, "What? No." And then she was like, "Well, okay." And I was like, "Okay." And it was the most. I had zero game. Like, I had zero, you know, kind of suaveness to it. I was like, "No, I'm good. I got to go." And then that was it. But then looking back, I was like, that was the weirdest. I don't know. Like, yeah, I guess it happened to me once, but I was so thrown off by it later. It wasn't until later that I realized what was going on. And but yeah, so it's happened once maybe, but she didn't have big hair.
I had it in the police. Well, I had it quite a lot in the police, I believe it or not. Yeah. But I remember one time we'd arrested this like heroin drug user, a junkie, and we had to do like a bail inquiry. You know, he gives you an address, and it's not like the States. In the UK, you don't pay money for bail. We give you bail as long as we know, or we're happy that you have a physical place to go and stay, you know, and as long as we're happy that you're going to come back to the police station or come back to court, then you'll get bail. So this guy had told us where he lived. So I've gone to the flat where he lived, the apartment, knocked on the door, and the door was sort of ajar. So I've knocked on it and it's open. I've stuck my head in going, "Hi, police." And this woman was inside and she said, "Yeah, come in." So I walked in and she was naked, lying on the bed, entertaining herself with a battery operated implement. And she just looked me straight in the face and she said, "Do you want to stay a while?" And she was like a proper heroin junkie. And I was, No, you know,
I'm all right. Thanks very much for your offer. I'll see you later.
Yeah. Well, I was like, "Does such and such live here?" "Yes, he does, but he's not here just now." "Yeah, I know he's not." Yeah, fine.
I can clearly see he's not. Yeah, no, it's so funny. We have a few officers, because when I owned the coffee cart, I was in downtown Conroe, which is a very small, kind of an old school downtown, and it was kind of going through this renaissance of, like, you know, new businesses and stuff. And there was these local cops that would come by the cart daily. I would give them free coffee and we would just have a chat. And there was a lot of homeless people that were, because especially the cart was outside, so they would bother me every morning. But these cops and me became friends, and so they kind of left. But these cops would tell me some stories, and they would call them badge bunnies. Like it was just these women that would just hearken onto a badge, and groupies, I was like, groupies, yeah. I was like, that's different, man. I don't have that as a coffee maker. Yeah.
Right.
Turns out.
Yeah, well, you never know. Who knows? Yeah. There's a Scottish saying: "There's none as queer as folk," which means, there's nothing as weird as people.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right. So that was the only one we had on Instagram. I think there's one more over on Facebook. Let's have a look here. Yes, Simon Broom. Hi both, hope you're fitting well. My question is, we know that Bruce has a ghost story and believes in them. So do you believe in ghosts, Brad? And also, do you believe we are alone in this little universe of ours? Discuss. Oh. Yes, I love these questions. Are you a believer, Brad?
I'm a believer that we are not alone in the universe. I don't think we're alone in this universe. I think it's vastly too large. Mm-hmm. Like there's gotta, I don't know if it's like another humanoid thing, but even if it's like an amoeba, just a small sign of life somewhere else.
There's got to be, isn't there? There has to be.
Absolutely. 1000%. As far as ghosts go, I have never personally had any kind of experience with them. I've been in scary places that were like spooky. There was this, when I was growing up, there was this old mental hospital that had got closed down, and it was just an old abandoned building, and it was like a famous thing that high schoolers would do. It was like a rite of passage through high school that you would have to there was 3 stories to it, and you would have to walk the 3 stories, and then you would have to come back down, and it was of course at 1 a.m. or something like that. I don't know if it was the noise coming from the old creaky building, or it was my friend Keffer just giving me a hard time. But man, that building was making some sounds. And that was the one time I was like, man, there's something going on here. It was a vibe. Like it was weird. It was spooky. I'm not going to say no, because, when we were in Mexico on that missions trip, we went to like rural villages, like hardcore, like very like, 10 people in one concrete building and the door was a sheet, like just a piece of cloth. Yeah. And man, this lady came up to us and she was like, it got translated, and she was like, my husband is possessed. Like, would you? And I was like, first of all, I came on this trip because I just wanted some good food. Like, I just wanted a quesadilla. I don't know anything about exorcisms or anything like that. And it got translated back. And then I was like, let me get my pastor. So my pastor came over and he's like, oh, yeah. And they went off on their own. And, but I was like, what a weird, because no, I had never, you think about like, and I was like, I don't know. I just never thought about it that way, to where it was like, this is reality. But when I went to the UK, same thing. I went into a pub. Now that I'm thinking about it, obviously I have had moments. But when I went to the UK, I went to a pub, and I can't remember. It must have been near Bournemouth, but I don't think it was Bournemouth. Southampton or I don't know.
Yeah, Southampton, yeah.
Yeah, and it was an old pub, and it was like in a basement of somewhere, and they were like, it was like a known thing, and I thought they were giving me a hard time. Like I thought, oh, this is you talking shit. Like this is not real. But like they were like, yeah, the pub closes at 8 because it's haunted. And I was like, oh, okay, all right. But no, like they literally closed at 8, and I purposefully met other people that didn't have anything to do with the friend group I was hanging out with, just to ask if that place was haunted. And they were like, yeah, absolutely. And I was like, okay, there must be something. Like there must be something going on. So
yeah.
I want to hear your ghost story though.
Anyone that listens to this podcast will be bored stupid of this story. So I will try to be as quick as I possibly can for you. Back in Glasgow, when I used to work the doors, we used to have to open the fire exits at the start of the shift, the fire escapes. And then at the end of the shift, you would lock them, chain, padlock them all shut again to keep the building secure once everybody's out. So, just fire regulations, they have to be unlocked and available to open if in the event that you need to get everybody out. So at the start of the shift, I'm walking down, it's like an interior staircase that's totally bricked in. There's no windows, there's no doors other than the one at the very top and the one at the very bottom. And the one at the very top leads into the club. So it's just a normal fire exit, fire escape door, but big bar, you boot the bar open, that opens the door. So you can only open it from inside the club, inside the venue. Right. And then the one at the very bottom is another similar door, and that has a big lump of 4x2 wood across it with a chain and padlock, and that's padlocked shut. That opens out onto the car park outside. So I was walking down these stairs to unpadlock, unchain this door. And I'm about like a third of the way down these stairs, and these two guys just sort of came walking round the corner and started walking up the stairs towards me. And I was a bit startled, and I was like, what the fuck are you doing here, kind of thing. I just shouted at them, who are you? And they started to look up, but before I saw their eyes, one of my mates heard me shout at these lads, scream at these lads, and he shouted, big man, you all right? So I turned round and I was like, Andy, get down here. We must have left the fire exit open. So he comes down, I turn round and these guys had gone. So he came down and I said, there's two geezers here. We must have left the fire exit open last night. So we run down the stairs. It's like 5, 6, 7, 8 flights of stairs all the way to the bottom. And we didn't pass anybody. I mean, and these stairs are wide enough for maybe 3 people to stand shoulder to shoulder. So they're not very wide at all. We get to the bottom and the door is still padlocked shut. We've not passed anybody and the door's all padlocked shut. So he thinks I've been smoking something. We open the door, we open the fire exit door, and then later that night we're on the main entrance to the club, just doing what bouncers do, and it gets a little bit quiet, and one of the managers comes down, and my friend goes to the manager, you might want to watch the big man tonight. I think he's been smoking the wacky backy. So we tell him the story, and the manager just goes, yeah, those two, the cleaners see them all the time. There's loads of them in here. So obviously our ears pricked up, and we were like, tell me more stories. So he used to say, like the cleaners used to see people walking in midair round the edge of the main dance hall, where the main dance area in the club, in the nightclub. And this club used to be a place called the Locarno, because back in the day, Glasgow used to be like, Glasgow was not world famous, but it was very well known for its dance halls back in the day, like in the 30s, 40s, 50s sort of time. And this place was called the Locarno, and it was like one of the best dance venues to go to. And in those days, it used to have a balcony that ran three edges of the main hall. So back in those days, you would have people walking up in midair around the edge. So it's all little things like that, and you're just wow. These are like the cleaners. Some cleaners would refuse to go to certain parts of the club because they were like, nah, sure. Just didn't get a good feeling about it. Yeah. And then moving on in life into the police, I moved into diplomatic protection. So I used to work at Downing Street and, look after the Prime Minister and lots of diplomats and stuff around London. And there's loads of stories about, there's a little girl ghost in Downing Street. She's like 4 or 5 years of age, and she hangs around under one of the main stairs that leads down to where the canteen is. And she'll at night time she'll take you by the hand and just walk you downstairs. Wow. Loads of the guys had met her, and there's just loads of others. So I don't know if it hadn't happened to me. Yeah, I wouldn't know what to think of it. I would be very skeptical, but I can't explain what I saw. So I don't know what to make of it.
Yeah, I'm glad you made a career change, though. You had a few ghosts coming to your life. I don't know if I would be dealing with that. Yeah. Right, that wasn't on the resume.
That is all our questions done.
Sure.
But before we call it quits, can I throw the floor open to you? Like, is there anything that you want to chat about? Is there anything you want to promote? Anything you want to say? Feel free.
I know. My girlfriend's dad, Rick, who's a big fan.
Hi, Rick.
Hey, Rick. There you go. Shout out. He wanted to or tell you. Let me open this up. He said, "Hey, make sure you tell Teapot that if he is ever in Texas, he has a place to stay." So there you go,
Rick. I'll take you up on that, man. If I come over that way, I'll give you a shout. Absolutely.
There you go. Yeah, he'll take you. He's got a 1968 Ford Bronco, and he'll take you for a ride around the. He's got plenty of hunting land and stuff like that. It's good times. But promote. Not really. I mean, just the YouTube channel, that's going now. That's my first crack at that.
First crack at that. It's nearly 100,000 subscribers. It's first crack. You make me sick.
I might have, let's see. I might have hit 100K on your podcast.
Oh, come on.
Perhaps.
Yes.
Let's see. Oh, look at this. 99999.
No.
Yeah,
come on. One more.
That's it.
My mate Lamb Chop had that. He was sat at 9999 for so long, and in the end, I realized I had like a dormant account. I had a dormant YouTube account that I never used. So I was like, I wonder if I've subscribed. Yeah. So I went onto that. Hadn't subscribed, so I subscribed on it. Got him to the 100,000. I messaged him and went, "You're at 100,000," and literally as we went, "You're at 100,000." Somebody else unsubscribed, so it dropped again.
Oh no, that's awesome though. What a good friend though. I do. There are certain, like, especially as I was reading through your book, you do such a good, especially the first few chapters where before you leave for the trip, it's very well written to the point, like with the information and stuff like that. I gotta, just give you hats off to you for dealing with the sponsorships coming in and out and things like that, and dealing with that. Man, that is not something that would put a bad taste in my mouth so that is a question I had, is how you just kept pushing for it. Like, how do you, because I don't think I would have, I know it was this big thing because especially with your mom and everything like that, but yeah, I don't know if that's something I would have kept pushing for, just because I'm glad you did.
Thanks. I'm a very stubborn person when I set my mind on something. I can let a lot of things go, and I can not really get involved in a lot of things. But when I do tune in on something, and it's happening in my head, it's happening, then that's it. I'm throwing everything I've got at it, and I won't stop until I personally am satisfied I've either achieved it or I've done everything that I could possibly do. So with something like that, it was. And I'm the kind of character that if someone says you can't do that, then that's it. I'm doing it. I'm a bit belligerent like that, I think. Sure. And like sponsorships, I'd advise most people out there, don't ever rely on sponsorships. If you're thinking of doing a trip or you want to get into like YouTube or something like that, don't rely on sponsorships, because it's cool. You have to be very careful with who you have as sponsors, because although at the time you might not worry about it fitting in with your identity and your brand, ultimately the reason they want to get involved with you is because of your brand, because of your reputation and your following. They want to be assimilated with that. And I think now these days I am much more what's the word? We call it pernickety in Scotland. Like if someone approaches me about either a sponsored vid, which I very rarely do these days, or being a sponsor for the channel, I kind of look and I think to it, is this an appropriate fit for me and my brand? Like I get companies approaching me because they want me to promote a certain product, but I look at the product and I think either I don't think it's very good, or I look at it and think I don't think I would use that as a biker. So why can I won't promote something about if I'm not going to use it? So I just think I protect my brand much more now than maybe I did in the early days, because in the early days you're just like, anybody get involved, somebody show me some love here. But I'll just say, if you believe in something, just focus on it and make it happen. Don't
Yeah,
give up.
because especially in your story, you talk about how you were all dead set on the Suzuki, and then you had somebody else, the other company, offer you a full spec bike, and then they pulled out, and you ended up doing it on your Suzuki. So it's like just almost like this omnipotent movement of fate, really, to get it exactly the way you wanted it to happen. I'm sure there was a lot of bumps along the way, but it happened. That's awesome.
Yeah,
something because.
Sorry, go on.
Go ahead.
No, please. After you.
For me, it was, it was very much it's a huge inspiration, really. I've read a lot of, because if my ADHD allows me to read a good book, it's because, man, my attention, as you could probably tell through this podcast, it's like chasing rabbits, man.
Honestly, not at all. I wouldn't have even noticed. I knew you had ADHD, but it's not had an impact in the conversation at all in the slightest.
Cheers, good. That makes me. I'm finicky with just holding things, but yeah, thank you very much. So a book really has to, there are certain books that I've read over a few years that are good, and I'll pop in, but very rarely do I not put a book down, and yours was one that I haven't put down because it's very real. It's a very honest story of and the fact that you can look at your YouTube channel, you can watch your travel from it's insane. It's really well done. But because I especially, I know Rick as well, who wants to travel on a bike, these great grand journeys, and it's something that I want to do, but I don't know. To have the courage to go from wanting to doing is a big leap, and hats off to you for it, especially because now you continually do it. Now it's almost like I can hop on the bike. Like you said the other day, I had to tell Rick that when you on our Instagram, when we were going live, you said how back then you were packing for every sort of circumstance, and now you can pop on your passport and pretty much you're good to a passport and a credit card and you're good to go. Yeah. And I told Rick that, and he was like, golly, man, that's some trust. I was like, man, yeah, that's and I know that's definitely how he would be, and I would like to think around the same way of just packing for every circumstance, but it's not necessary.
Genuinely, and I mean this 100%, and I know it's the same I've had so many other people on the podcast who've done great big world trips and amazing journeys that have been on. The hardest part is leaving. The hardest part is taking that first step, like stepping off the ship. That is the hardest bit. Just breaking away from your normality and going on the road. That's the hardest bit. And once you've done that, you're just riding a bike, man. There's nothing else to it. You're just riding a bike. That's it. Yeah. You can do it. Easy do it. Yeah. No problems.
We are looking at the French Alps tour, because that looks like something that would be immense fun. And, to get over
that's
there.
That's going to be mega. That.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I would definitely say, especially for yourself coming from America, somewhere like Switzerland. Switzerland is just breathtaking. It's like it's like an artist has painted the country. It is out of this world. I still have to edit a trip I did there 2 years ago. That's another one that's in the list of vids that I have to edit. But that is amazing. But they're very hot on speeding in Switzerland, so you have to watch your speed. But it is breathtaking. Breathtaking.
Yeah. Switched. Okay. Adding that to the list.
Right. Nice one. Right, dudes. We better call that quits. I don't want to take up your whole afternoon, man. But thank you so much, Brad, for coming on.
Thanks.
Folks, I'll leave all the links down below for all of Brad's socials for YouTube, for Instagram, TikTok. If you want to take your life in your hands, I'll leave it all down there. So please make sure you check it out. And if it's your thing, then subscribe, follow, like, share, do all the usual. Dude, Brad, thank you so much, mate. I wish you all the best. I'll continue to follow, and I'll keep in touch with you via the DMs and stuff like that. And hopefully one day either you'll come back over here or I'll come over there, and we'll meet up.
There we go. Thanks so much, Bruce, for having me. I really genuinely appreciate it. Thank you very much.
It's been an absolute pleasure, man. Right, folks, hope you've enjoyed this one. Keep doing your thing. Get on out there whenever you can. Look after those that you love. But most importantly, live your life. Woo-ha! Dude, that was mega. Thank you so much, man.